Hi guys from Canada. You think you're a small guy, but these big guys actually make these funny mistakes. Waves, Universal Audio, Softube, Acustica Audio, Brainworks, Kirchhoff EQ. I didn't choose just some random small companies. I chose only serious big companies, actually, which I respect. By the way, guys, you have the opportunity to attend one class for free of one of the best and the most mind-blowing audio production course. You will be connected to my students in one of the next oncoming classes, so you can view exactly how we study. Imagine the course like a gem which you didn't expect to find. Instead of feeling yourself like a little guy among all these big plugin manufacturers and equipment manufacturers, you will become the next level audio engineer who's supposed to be higher than all these big guys. They actually commonly bullshit you, creating their own theory to sell you a plugin. So instead of becoming the guru of audio production, you remain at the same level, focusing on the questions like, what is the best plugin of 2024? My course gives you the opportunity not to be like this. I teach you critical thinking approach, how to hear things, how to decide by yourself what's right for your sound. We use only most effective techniques and actually very rare and unique techniques. And we cover pretty all subjects of audio production. We even have unique homework checking sessions when I open your projects in front of you in real time, showing your own settings and showing you your mistakes and how to make decisions. In the description of this video you can find 5 links to other my videos which you can use as an example how I teach, how I explain, but don't forget I put only 10% of the power of my course to my videos. It's my policy, because 90% of the power of my course I have to keep to my students. So get a free trial class, check those 90% of the power of my course, and then you can enroll. 9 months, real-time classes, monthly payments. You can find information about me and 250 reviews in the first pinned comment and in the description. But instead of reading, the point is I don't need to convince you by words. You need to view my course by yourself. So ask me about the course details with the mail provided and get one class for free. Okay, example number 1. Waves company, right? Like big deal Waves company, legendary plugin like everybody uses. It's called Doubler 2. It keeps main voice, let's say, to the middle of panorama, which is first line of parameters, and then 2 extra artificial voices, voice 1 and voice 2. If you deactivate main voice, you have 2 voices, voice 1 on the left and second voice on the right. Seems like no problem here, right? The problem is, look at the panorama value of this plugin. It says 45 all the way to the left. So as you can see, it goes from 0 to minus 45, and the right side goes from 0 to plus 45, like this. What 45 really means over here, right? Seems like it's degrees, because if it was percentage, it would be either 50% to the left, 50% to the right, or it could be, let's say, 100% to the left, 100% to the right, like in many DAWs, or it could be based on MIDI. MIDI has 128 points, which means 64 to the left, 64 to the right, but it's for some reason 45, right? So what it really means? How you usually set up your monitors, right? In surround sound, it's important. Even in stereo, it's important. So let's imagine like this. You have a circle, right? You put yourself in the middle of the circle. Then you put lines, it's a radius. Then you put another radius over here. And then you connect these 2 parts. As you can see, all lines will have exactly the same length. That's why it's called equilateral triangle. According to mathematics, equilateral triangle has 180 degrees. So each angle obviously should be like this, 180 divided by 3, and you can calculate by yourself, it equals 60 degrees, which means each angle has 60 degrees angle. If you divide this angle into like this, it means this part will be 30 degrees, and this part will be 30 degrees as well. So actually maximum shift from the middle of panorama all the way to the left supposed to be 30 degrees, not 45. Even by the picture of this plugin, you can see their equilateral triangle doesn't exist over here on this picture. It's literally this side is shorter than, let's say, connection between this sphere and this sphere, right? This distance will be much longer actually than this one and this one. So Waves literally mixed up amounts. It's not a big deal, but still pretty funny mistake, right? Because they say 45 instead of 30. Actually, all the way to the left supposed to be 30. Anyway, this plugin fully functional. You can use it for Haas effect, you can use it for split harmonizer effects. Their golden time was between 2000 and 2010. This is when they created the best plugins. Nowadays they mostly use like marketing, big names promoting some plugins, but essentially in many cases is the same plugin repeated again and again under different names, under different look of the plugin, you know. But back in 2000, 2005, 2010, Waves actually created quite groundbreaking kind of plugins, and this plugin was one of those which was pretty good. Okay, plugin number 2, it's a Softube bass compressor, just released, you know, and they made pretty strange mistake over here, let me explain. Again, I actually have pretty huge respect to Softube. It's one of my favorite actually plugin manufacturer. The most known master bass compressor, so-called the Glue, it's SSL master bass compressor. On the right side you can see Waves version of this plugin, and as you can see it's very similar layout, threshold, right, makeup gain, attack, the same values as you can see, 0.1, 0.3, 1, so this is 0.1, this is 0.3, this is 1, this is 3, this is 10, this is 30, so you have the same 3, 10, 30, right? Release the same 100, 300, 600, so this is 100, it means 0.1 second, which is 100 milliseconds. 300 milliseconds, 600 milliseconds, automatic all the way to the right, so automatic release all the way to the right. Ratio again, very similar. Latest SSL kind of modifications of this SSL master bass compressor definitely provides 1.5 to 1, so it's kind of the same thing. Anyway, main positions is 2 to 1, 4 to 1, and 10 to 1, right? Plugin on the right side has exactly the same thing. If you put the Glue compressor on the master bass, everything more polished, everything sounds a bit more together. I kind of like look over here on the button of Softube plugin and I see this. Also hard knee mode by default. And I like, who knows? From my knowledge, Glue compressor and Glue in effect always comes from the soft knee, not from the hard knee mode, you know. Why Softube chose hard knee mode over here, you know what I mean? Maybe it's just default preset, maybe there are some good inner presets on this plugin which provides actually soft knee. So I go to Classic Royal, hard knee mode. Then I go drum bass, hard knee mode. Then I go to, I'm trying to find some presets which I would apply for the whole song to the master bass, right? Peak control, hard knee mode, punch and weight, hard knee mode. Actually, SSL master bass compressor definitely gives you a bit more punch and a bit more weight, you know? But why it's hard knee mode? Push forward of the sound, but anyway hard knee mode. All names which I checked, which is somehow related to the whole song, all of them have hard knee mode. What's going on over here, you know what I mean? I even found a forum where two guys like talking about what kind of SSL compressor is supposed to be. Actually, people say over there like it's supposed to be hard knee compressor. It just shows how few things people know on forums, you know what I mean? So I contacted SSL company, they transferred me to the lead support guy, who like main support guy, you know, who really knows those things about SSL, and he confirms with low ratios. A lot of people use low ratios like 1.5 to 1, 2 to 1. Somebody can go like 4 to 1, you know, like Andy Wallace, for example. Anyway, it's considered to be low ratios, and in those positions, actually, it's supposed to be soft knee compressor. Not hard knee compressor, what are you talking about? Then I contacted the Softube. You can say, rotate the knee up to some position of the soft knee. The problem is I don't know exactly where it should be. I kind of like expect authentic emulation. I don't want some random compressor which just allows me soft knee, you know. For this I don't need to buy this plugin, you know. There are plenty of compressors which have soft knee parameter. I want to know exactly where I should set up this plugin to sound similar to SSL master bass compressor. So I contacted the Softube. And you know what they say? They say, we didn't try to emulate SSL. They say, no, it's not SSL. What? Looks like SSL master bus compressor. Attack values around the knob, release, ratio, and positions, and even how gain reduction meter looks like. It looks like SSL, you know. Okay, let's check their website. First of all, it says the glue compressor to keep it all together. If it's not SSL, why you say word glue? It's a nickname actually of SSL master bus compressor, right? But okay, maybe you mean like to keep everything together. Then, of course, you see this hardening mode, but how you can keep everything together with the hardening mode? Maybe subjectively, who knows? They say, we received a lot of requests for a bus compressor over the years. If this company was making a plugin like random plugins, you know, X plugin from Softube, Y plugin from Softube, Z plugin from Softube, I would believe in it. But Softube is known for, like they say, authentic emulation, right? Like emulation which really based on some classic designs. All their plugins basically based on something, you know, like let's say like DBX 160, like 1176 FET compressor, VC2A by Native Instruments / Softube, or later on like Opto compressor by Softube. It's LA2A, right? They have Distressor, they have Tube Tag, they have Chandler Limited Curve Bender EQ. So it's a company specialized on emulations of realistic devices. So obviously we're supposed to get bus compressor, which means SSL master bus compressor. They say they received a lot of requests for a bus compressor. Do you think like people message Softube and asking like, hey Softube, please make us some random bus compressor? What you're talking about, you know what I mean? Everybody was messaging Softube asking make SSL master bus compressor, not some random compressor, you know what I mean? If you need random compressor, you can use FabFilter Pro C2 and set up Softney somewhere over there, and it will be your random master bus compressor, you know. Obviously everybody was asking Softube to make SSL, and they definitely made SSL eventually. They say the design of the bus compressor section draws on classic large format console bus compressor from 1980s. Oh, what kind of large format console from 80s you know? Right? It's not Neve. Neve was earlier, most typical mixing console from 80s and 90s and 2005, you know. It's SSL. They say this by themselves, it's SSL master bus compressor. But after I said something wrong with your SSL master bus compressor, it cannot be really hardening, they suddenly started saying, no, it's not SSL, it's not SSL, you know. This unit is still at the top of the industry to this day. Obviously it's SSL master bus compressor, you know. Let me tell you what's the problem here. If I buy this plugin from Softube company, a renowned company for emulations of realistic devices, I expect some realistic device, right? If I want some random plugin, maybe I don't need to spend my money. I can use any digital compressor and I can emulate some sort of a master bus compressor. Obviously, I buy this one to expect some SSL behavior, and they don't provide this SSL behavior because it's a hardening mode. I really doubt a lot of people really instantly go there and change hardening to some other setting. Plus, nobody really knows where you really should put this knee really to achieve this SSL kind of behavior. If you claim it's not SSL, then why you promote it like SSL, right? Don't say, oh, it's a legendary SSL, everybody wants this kind of glue legendary compressor from large consoles of 1980s. Right? Just say, we just created some random master bus compressor, it's called X compressor, and nobody will buy it, you know? So obviously, you get money from customers by saying it's a SSL master bus compressor. You promote it like this. Eventually, you don't provide SSL master bus compressor behavior. To my viewers, I want to say, actually, Softube is one of the best plugin manufacturers on the market. In comparison to tens or hundreds of different plugin manufacturers, is one of the leading plugin manufacturer. I can reveal actually 3-4 other mistakes in Softube plugins, but for this video it's enough. Okay, the third mistake, Universal Audio, one of the best plugin manufacturer and equipment manufacturer on the market, right? 1176 question. I'm gonna talk about like 1176 compressor, like they claim, which is built-in Volt audio interfaces. If they mean it's not 1176, why you call it 76, you know? You obviously sell this audio interface for the customer, like trying to convince them, Oh, it will be legendary 1176 compressor, even analog one in audio interface. This is my video, Volt audio interface review. As you can see, 95% of likes. As far as I understand, they deleted this part of their manual after my review. Because I found these mistakes, they probably realized it and they just deleted it. Maybe I just didn't find recently this part of the manual, sorry for that. Look at the specification of this compressor, which is built in their newest Volt audio interfaces. There is 3 modes: vocal, guitar and fast. Vocal mode has attack 2 milliseconds, but the question is 2 milliseconds, like, isn't it too long for 1176 compressor? 1176 compressor originally was designed by legendary, amazing Bill Putnam, who was trying after tube era to accommodate transistors to get faster response of the compressor, to tame transients of different notes. In the beginning of every note you have like click, like ting, ting, ting. So this like t in the beginning. He wanted to polish those transients in the beginning of the note. So instead of using tubes after 176 compressor, he created 1176 compressors based on transistor, FET, field effect transistor. Attack knob goes from the shortest to pretty short attack anyway. So it goes from 0.02 milliseconds, according to original manual at least. So it definitely doesn't allow those like initial clicks to strike out, But vocal gives you 2 milliseconds. Which is almost 3 times longer than attack, than the longest attack on 1176. And I like, what do you mean by this? Yes, maybe there is tolerance, maybe it's realistically long attack on realistic 1176. I don't mind to have this kind of potential tolerance. But, again, for the vocal, why you choose the longest attack, Who knows? Let's be honest, if you want to mix a vocal, you're not gonna use the longest attack on this compressor. In most cases, like for example Chris Rodelgi, legendary audio engineer, he would use attack at 3 position. So it would be like middle ground attack, probably like more like 0.6 milliseconds. On this, audio interface is 2 milliseconds. 300 milliseconds release on the vocal. This is another problem with universal audio. I found in the original manual of original 1176, I have 2 original 1176 analog compressors from universal audio actually, is over here and over there. It's expensive models, I bought them brand new. In the manual actually they suggest to start at 12 o'clock. I'm gonna tell you honestly, it's absolutely nonsense to start with 12 o'clock on vocals. What if our second note, let's say, is quiet note? Let's say you perform like a vocalist, you have dynamics, you make some notes louder, some notes quieter. That's why you apply a compressor in the first place. You want to smooth out those volume differences. So let's say your second note is quieter. Now, if you apply too long release on this 1176 compressor, plus it's a VCA type release curve, which means it's a concave curve, which means it will hold compression pretty long and only then it will speed up in the end of compression. So which means it will hold too much compression and for too long, which means second note, which is not supposed to be compressed too much, it will be anyway compressed too much because your release is too long. You know what I mean? So instead of using proper amount of release, you're gonna compress first note enough and second note too much. You're gonna make second note even quieter. So that's why, for example, audio engineers like Chris Rodelgi, they go with much shorter release position. You put release time at, let's say, Chris Rodelgi actually puts release at 7. You can experiment with 6, 7, 5, somewhere in this ballpark. Actually, you should use shorter release on this compressor for sure, Your gain reduction meter comes back to no working position much earlier, which means second note will be considered without too much of residual compression. I created this term in 2016 in one of my videos. I call it residual compression. What it really means, it means you still have some amount of compression triggered by the first note. Now you need to compress the second note. You don't want too much of residual compression from the first note. Compression from the first note because of short release almost ended up, and then you compress just a bit for the second note. Eventually, in the end of a day, first note will be compressed more as it's supposed to be compressed more, and second note will be compressed just a bit, because of less compression on its own, and your notes actually will become more even. So that's why on this compressor you actually don't need too long release. So who knows why Universal Audio by default choose so strange settings. As you can see, 300 milliseconds for the vocal, for the VCA compressor. You know, for the guitar they use 700 milliseconds. It's crazy long, you know. And also pretty strange that ratio for seems like 1176 compressor is 6:1. Isn't it supposed to be 4:1, 8:1, 12:1? Why it's important? Because from my perspective, when I compress something like natural, like vocal or piano or guitar, acoustic guitar, I want low ratios, you know. I go 4:1 because 1176 has 4:1 as the lowest. Second option is more like aggressive compression, more evened out, more like working intensively 8:1. 6:1, it's not really from 1176. So basically what I'm trying to say over here, they created just random compressor over here with pretty random settings, which is not really workflow which would you have on 1176. And again, you can say, oh, you're splitting the hair, whatever, like a bit more, a bit less, who cares? I totally agree with you. Who cares? I mean, it's a normal compressor. Actually, you still can use it, you know, for many applications. The problem is, it's about marketing. They don't tell you something like, I'm selling you an audio interface with some compressor. They tell you, oh, we use this legendary, like 1176 based compressor. So please provide us 1176 then, right? I pay money for this. I want 1176. I don't want some random X compressor, you know. I specifically mentioned this example just to show you the other example. You know, this company called Acustica Audio, which is based on like impulse responses of the real equipment. Some people like claim, oh, it's like next level in comparison to emulations and stuff. Yeah, maybe, who knows. They released this nickel compressor. It's exactly the same layout like 1176. It has ratios 4:1, 8:1, 12:1, 20:1, all to 1, right? Okay, how about attack? Attack goes from 1 to 7. It's not milliseconds, it's just positions, exactly like on 1176. Release goes from 1 to 7, exactly like 1176, like this plugin, as you can see, from 1 to 7, right? 4:1, 8:1, 12:1, 20:1. If you press all buttons together, it's called all to 1. So it's 1176. Preamplifier emulation of LN version. LN stands for low noise. In early 70s, it was a big deal, like to decrease noise of a compressor or audio equipment. And revision H, which means it's even lower coloration content because they changed transformer in the silver version of this compressor eventually. So it's a so-called silver phase design with even less high harmonics on it, you know. So you can choose this coloration from these two modes. Then I listened to it. I bought this plugin, by the way, and I started working with this, and I was like, why it sounds so weird, you know what I mean? And I instantly feel like some snap, some punch in the beginning of all notes, and I just realized this compressor has long attack. Bill Putnam actually designed 1176, and all these 1176s should have very short attack, like enormously short attack actually. The longest attack this compressor should provide, at least based on the manual, 0.8 milliseconds, less than 1 millisecond, just imagine. If you look at the manual, but I already uninstalled it because it simply doesn't work for me, because if I want like long attack compressor, I have plenty of variations. If I want 1176, I really need short attack. Acustica Audio makes 1176, but for some reason with crazy long attack. Check it out. The shortest 5 milliseconds, the longest 70 milliseconds is supposed to be, listen to me, 0.8 as the longest. Even in the fast position, like 7-8 times longer than the longest attack on real 1176. So I contacted this company and I said, sorry, but I wanted 1176. Why you made a plugin with a so long attack? Because I paid money, I wanted 1176 emulation. And they said, we didn't try to make 1176. Another company which says, no, we didn't try to make 1176. And I like, really? why I bought this plugin. Probably because of layout, the look of this plugin, right? Looks exactly like 1176. It faithfully embodied the behavior of the two different famed revisions, H and LN, of the most recognizable compressor of all time. So how they can tell me in emails like they didn't try to implement 1176 if they openly say it in the manual, it's LN version, revision H version, and it's the most known compressor of all time. So basically I busted their mistake. They just understood it, and suddenly they say, no, we didn't try to emulate 1176. It's the staple of all worldwide major recording studios. Obviously it's 1176, right? Kind of used on countless of records, Guns N' Roses, Bruce Springsteen and the Killers and Joe Cocker and many others. Remember, there is 70 milliseconds instead of 0.8, so it's like 90 times longer. So basically what Acustica Audio tried to say, like, this plugin, which has completely different attack, which is 90 times, not 19, but 90 times longer attack, was used on Joe Cocker and Guns N' Roses and Bruce Springsteen's, right? Actually, one funny story about Universal Audio. As you can see, I have this tube preamplifier 610 MK2. Is this preamplifier on the screen? They have 610 solo, this preamp on the screen, and they have most expensive out of the bunch is 6176, which looks like this, right? It's paired with 1176, but actually this 1176 sounds quite different because it doesn't have the same transformer. A lot of people claim it sounds the same, but people just simply don't hear those differences. Actually, in fact, this 1176 sounds clearer than warmer one, which is revision D, which is over here. And this preamp is supposed to be the same, right? I buy these two versions, and I found out that this one has one tube less. The one which has one tube less obviously sounds different. This one sounds warmer and much louder with the same settings. This one sounds quieter, like 10 dB drop with the same settings. If you match settings, this one sounds less warm than this one anyway, with the same levels. So obviously, in terms of gain staging, they provide different amount of coloration and natural compression. So I thought maybe there is some bug in the equipment I bought. So I bought two of these two, and I bought two of these two just to compare. It proved my point. This one anyway sounds 10 dB louder than this one. I contacted Universal Audio and they say, no, they sound exactly the same. And I was like, who knows why you don't know your own equipment? So I insisted, email by email. So they went to the studio, they tested, and then they confirmed. They said, yes, we went to the studio, and yes, we confirmed they have different levels. So basically what it means Universal Audio don't know their own equipment. From the other side, Universal Audio is one of the best manufacturers on the market, actually. And what they did on this Black Friday was amazing. They offered 8 amazing, actually, plugins for like 50-60 bucks. It was really the best deal on this Black Friday. And the last plugin on our list is Kirchhoff Equalizer. They claim they emulated SSL curves, SSL-E, SSL-G. I have a video. You can find this video in the description. Amazing video. I measured real SSL, which is on my table over here. Exactly the same types. I measured Waves plugin, SSL. I measured 4000 ENG. I measured also 9000 ENG. I measured Brainworks. I measured SSL from SSL. I measured Softube. All of them have similarities other than Kirchhoff EQ. Kirchhoff EQ has completely wrong curves. They don't even know the difference between constant EQ and vintage EQ. You actually should check this video, because if you don't know what's the difference between constant EQ and vintage EQ, this video will be very helpful, so check it out. I measured meticulously by 100%, just like I really showed the mathematics behind this equalizer, and I proved it has absolutely fake curves. And what's most concerning for me, there are plenty of comments under my video where people claim Like, no, they say on their website they didn't try to imitate SSL by 100%. They didn't emulate coloration. They only imitated curves. What are you talking about? I didn't even mention a harmonic one time in that video, you know. My video was only about curves. I really showed why those curves completely off in comparison not only to analog SSL, but also to Wave, Softube, Brainworks, and Universal Audio. Audio engineering means engineering. Engineering means mathematics. You cannot argue with real measurement, you know what I mean? But what's really concerning for me, people rather believe in statements on some commercial statements on some websites rather than realistic measurement which I showed in my video. But by the way, you know these famous channel strips from Brainworks, right? I have found a lot of different mistakes over there. If you're curious, let me know in the main chat. If you want, I'm gonna show you those mistakes in some of the next videos. Okay guys, if you're tired to be at the same level year by year, and you want to be completely different level audio engineer, you wouldn't believe how this course can be jam for you. Just attend one class for free. How to contact me, you can find the information in the description, in the first pinned comment, or on the screen.